Josh Spring from the Greater Cincinnati Homeless Coalition. In case you don't know, we are the collection of about 60 different organizations in Hamilton County, and so we're sort of the political bird's eye view portion of homelessness. I'm going to pass this around. This is a white paper on the ordinance that we've been working on. I think 16 copies. Somebody may have to share. And in fact, I've got one, so there's 15 going around. Okay, so just as the backdrop of this, Katie referred to it, the recent report completed by Liz and also by Liz Bloom over at the Center for Community Engagement at Xavier, our community building, shows that in the county, the full county, we are shy of 40,000 units of housing affordable to households at 0 to 30% of the area median income. So to explain what that means, area median income is what it sounds like it is, right? It's updated annually. And so affordability means households pay no more than 30% of their monthly income in rent and utilities. And so with just a little bit of math, you can figure out, for a family of 4, for a family of 2, for one person, what is affordable. And so that means that for that group of people, at 0 to 30% area median income, we have a shortage of 40,000 homes. And what that means practically is what our member organizations experience on a daily basis, that the shelters are full or over capacity. And so to put that in perspective, if you talk with the folks at Lighthouse Youth Services, they'll tell you that their shelter for folks 18 to 24 has been full and having to turn people away since the day it opened. It's never not been full. The women's shelter is at Drop, or Shelter House is always full and regularly having to turn single women away. The men's shelter has been running at over capacity for a couple of years. And then when we get into the family shelter realm, of all the families that call seeking shelter, only 30% of them receive any service at all, and that's shelter and other services. 70% get nothing. The street numbers are higher, and so those numbers become a real practical problem, mostly for the people that are experiencing the devastation of having nowhere to be. And sleeping outside, going back and forth. And then the number that's not included, that we don't fully understand or know, are people that are doubled up. The Department of Housing and Urban Development doesn't consider that group of people to be without a home, despite the fact that a family, a single person, may bounce from couch to car to couch to abandoned building and back and forth, but never hit our system because there's not space, and so they don't show up in the numbers. And it's a sad reality that really at this point in our county and in our city, when you hear reports of, well, how many people are without a home, they of course don't include that doubled up number, but it's really just more a report of how many beds we had available at that time. Because truth be told, we could build just a monstrosity of a shelter today and fill it tomorrow, and then our number would go up. But that's not the solution, and so that's why we need an affordable housing trust fund, because the way to end and prevent homelessness is through having housing. It's actually that simple. And so to dig in a little bit with what we are working on here, I first want to address when we first started bringing up the idea of a trust fund with a variety of city council people a year or 2 years ago. That would be the first time that people had brought it up to them, or the first time in this current etymology. We heard, well, maybe we should do a way of incentivizing the construction of affordable housing, or incentivizing putting money into the trust fund, incentivize developers to do it. And we were pretty steadfast saying, no, incentivizing this is not the way to do it, because, as Katie pointed out, it's just a matter of fact that developers that are doing their work to make a profit aren't going to build affordable housing because it's the right thing to do. It's just not how it works. It should work that way, but it doesn't. And in fact, the market, the invisible hand, if you will, just simply eliminates affordable housing as soon as there's a desire for something that will bring in more cash. And so what we've worked on is not incentivizing it, but a way of putting dollars by obligation into a fund. And so you've got this white paper in front of you, and I didn't bring copies of the drafted ordinance. It's 9 some odd pages long, and we used a lot of, we looked at legislation from other places around the country and tried to take from it what we thought made the most sense for our locality. And first I'll point out something that was important to us is when you think of the trust fund, you think of the need for housing, you might first think of, okay, we need money to build the housing, or we need money to renovate old buildings into productive housing now. And so, of course, that's in there. But also, if we know that we need to target households at 0 to 30% area income, if we know that, we also know that the numbers don't always work at that level. And so, if we want it to be sustainable, there needs to be some operational support for that housing. So we put that in there. And we've limited it, so a majority can't go to operations, but we have it in there because we don't want to build something that can't be sustained. And then the third thing that we put in there, which is a bit different, is what we label direct services. So that could be, say you have a household who they own their home, they're unable to pay what it takes to keep the building up to code or to keep repairs necessary to keep it habitable, and so the direct services funds can go to assist that family in staying in their home, or that person. Direct service, we've also labeled in there what we call homeless prevention. So the idea, and there's a bit of funds available for this now, but the idea that if a family or an individual, whether it's rent or mortgage, they can't make it, money can be put in to help them make it so that they, again, don't lose their housing. And so that would be a less of a percentage than the capital and the operations, but we wanted to put all three in there so that it could hit as many people as possible. Second is when we initially started out thinking about this, we thought, well, this would be grants, right? Money would be granted out to nonprofit organizations to do this work, and then we were having the question, okay, so once we do that, how do we guarantee that the building stays affordable? That a group doesn't take this money, redo a building, keep it affordable for a year, 2 years, 5 years, and then flip it to something else. And so we got in there deed restriction, right? So they label a deed restriction saying this building will be affordable, and we've got 99 years in there. My guess is that'll be negotiated down lower, but 99 years nonetheless. And then the second, when we met with folks in the housing division at the city, their helpful input was, don't do it as a grant, make it as a loan that could be forgiven and has no interest, but that allows you to require or maintain the affordability on the mortgage. And so that's how we've written it in there. We've written no interest loans that may be forgiven for nonprofit organizations, and interest loans, interest-bearing loans for for-profit organizations. And then we've limited that amount. And that also gives us, kind of leads to the next point, which is, I think, important, is monitoring of what is created. So I'll get into the oversight board and how that's built in a minute. But at least in our work, we interact with a number of landlords and property owners and facilities that are affordable, but they've not been maintained well. And because of that, the housing is threatened. We are currently working alongside Legal Aid and 7 different tenant organizations on a portfolio of 750 homes that are significantly threatened with closure for that very reason. They're all subsidized, people can afford their rents, but they've not been maintained. The owners just milked them and taken with the money and run. And so we don't want that either. And so we've labeled in here that the oversight board would have a monitoring responsibility. So physically, to go and look at the place, to also look at the books, to look at, for example, at a given point, how many open work orders are there, right? What type of work orders are they? Why are they being addressed? Why aren't they being addressed? You know, those sorts of things. And also, we put in there 2 annual think tanks. So one where residents of the housing would be invited and could come, and the owners wouldn't be there, other people wouldn't be there, just be the residents and the oversight board, and the residents could say, you know, here's what's great, here's what's not great. And then a second think tank where, again, it could be residents and anybody could come to do the same thing. And all of that information could be used to decide, has the developer kept up their end of the bargain? And if they have, then we'll forgive the next portion of the loan. Right? And so that's a trigger for keeping it the way it should be. Then, in terms of that oversight board, we spent a lot of time talking about how should an oversight board work, who should be on it. And there's so first of all, the most ideal situation is for a trust fund to be staffed and administered by the local municipality, because it keeps it in the public realm.